What is up, everyone? JD here. I hope you're all doing well today. Today I'm excited to bring you a new knife review. I have picked up a Spyderco Sage 5. I did pick this up on the secondary market. I saved about $35 off of it new, but when I checked it at the time of the recording of this video, it was still available at Blade HQ. It is their exclusive. What I'll be doing today is going through specs, size comparisons, thoughts and impressions of the knife, and alternative recommendations just in case you want some. Let's go ahead, jump into the specs. This has a 3-inch M4 blade with the diamond nitrate coating, a little bit a little bit different than the Cerakoting that you normally see on these type of blades. The diamond nitrate looks kind of transparent. You can still see the grind lines through it. I love that coating, and I wish Spyderco would do that more often. Not replace their coated blades, but I think that this holds up better because you still have that satiny feel to it, so it does go through the material a little bit easier with less resistance, and it doesn't take as much scarring as much as the regular coating. FRN handles coming in at 4.17 inches, overall length 7.13 inches, and claimed weight is 2.9 ounces. And see if it comes in at 2.9 ounces. It feels really lightweight, and I wanted this because I wanted another summer knife. So yeah, I was going to say probably 2.9. The way that I slammed it down on the scale might have affected that a little bit. Let's go ahead and do the size comparison so you can have an idea just how big or small this knife is. Then we'll do profile so you can see how it's going to carry in the pocket, and then I'll jump into thoughts and impressions. First up is going to be the Spyderco Yojimbo 2, which is very close to the Para 3 in size. So I actually thought this was going to be more similar to the Para 3, and we'll get into that in a second, but it's actually a little bit smaller, but it still has really good ergos. Next up is going to be the Spyderco Shaman. I am bringing out the Blade HQ exclusive with the coated M4 blade. Say. As you can see, this is just smaller than both, but nice size, and we're going to get into why I think that here in a minute. All right, let's go ahead and bring out the Benchmade bug out, which is really comparable to this knife as far as ergonomics. It is a little bit shorter. It's under that 3-inch mark, but very, very similar to weight and hand ergos, really hand filling ergos, surprisingly good. And because I still have my knife out on loan to SAT2, I am bringing out the ZT0562, which is pretty recognizable. And if you know the XM18, they're about the same size. So you can see here, this is just smaller than both, and it's, again, just for size reference. Let's go ahead and move these out of the way and bring out the budget knives. First up, we're going to bring the other sub 3-inch knife that I have for comparisons, and that is going to be the KU321 by Kubi. I think a lot of people are familiar with this knife. You can see very, very similar. This is right at 2.99. This is 2.84, so a little bit shorter. And then I'll bring out the Buck 110 for those familiar with that knife. So again, you get an idea for the size of this. Looks smaller, right? Well, we're going to get into that, I promise. Just one more thing. We're going to run through profile so you can see the thickness. If you're familiar with the PM3, if you're familiar with the Para 3 and the Yojimbo 2, you're going to know that this is a pretty thin carry, which is, again, why I wanted it. Whoop. Slips when I don't have my thumb there. I know some people fuss at me to move my thumb, but if you consider that being flat, like laying on a table, you're going to be able to tell the thickness of these knives. Here is the Benchmade bug out with the Flytanium scales, which is going to pretty much make it about even. And then we'll bring out the Yojimbo 2, similar to the Para 3, and you can tell the lightweight just a little bit thinner, which is, again, why I wanted this knife for a summer carry. First and foremost, the action on this thing is super smooth, like way smoother than I thought it was going to be. I don't know if the previous owner broke it in. There's no side-to-side play. It does have, hold on, I gotta find them. It does have double phosphor bronze washers on both sides. I don't know if you're going to be able to tell that. It's trying to focus on the flashlight. There you go. Hopefully you can see it's double sacked on both sides. Really thin blade, and I think that's one of I think that's one of the reasons is I dropped that flashlight, that it is double stacked, because this is super thin and slicey. It's a nice tall flat grind. It gets super duper thin, has that leaf shape that I like on these knives. Looks like to me the overall looks reminds me of like a native 5 and a para 3 if they had a child. That I kind of feel like it's somewhere in between with those two vibes. Very thin profile, as I mentioned a moment ago. It was pretty much as thin as the bug out, which is really nice. It does have a two-way reversible deep carry wire pocket clip, which I do appreciate. This actually gets it nice and deep in the pocket, which again for a summer carry is really nice. When I'm carrying this with the basketball shorts and I just want something light, goes down really deep into the pocket. Because you have this mint color that I've picked, it's really going to show, you know, that little bit is going to show in the basketball shorts right about there. The black hardware looks really nice on here. I really do like the diamond nitrate. This is a Tachong Taiwan. This is a Taiwan knife. Really nice. It doesn't have the FRN grips that you find on like the Indela and the Delica. It's not bi-directional. It's just really well jimped, and it does provide a lot of grip, and it's a little bit smoother on this side than it is on this side, which I thought was interesting. If you can tell that in the picture, you can tell this side is brought down a little bit more. They put this logo here, which is really smooth. It acts like a landing pad for the pocket clip, which works great. It goes in and out of the pocket without any issues. Inside, you do have a little bit of milling that's happening on both sides. That's happening on the non-lock side. The lock side is a solid piece. I don't believe. Let's do it this way. Yeah, yep, solid piece. There is no milling on the lock side. The non-lock side is milled out a little bit for weight reduction to keep this nice and light. Same compression lock that you find on the PM2, the Shaman, the Yojimbo 2, the Para 3. You know, all of the compression locks, they operate exactly the same. If you have an issue with the access to that, you can go to OCD for EDC's website and you can pick up a CME, which sits pretty flush. It doesn't stick up much at all, doesn't stick out much at all from the side profile either when it's in the locked position. Now when it is open, it does pop out, but I have never been able to squeeze this hard enough to disengage it. So I like that it works that way, and I think you just need to check specifically to make sure the one that he makes and sells fits your knife. Action again on those phosphor bronze washers, it is ridiculously smooth. It will fall shut on its own when you engage that compression lock, and if you're not quick enough, you'll see it'll bounce back, which is really crazy considering that's pretty much what you get with washers, not with ceramic bearings, not washers. So really nice action. Of course, I love Spyderco's thumb hole. It is the easiest to access. It is in a really good position for the reverse flick and the thumb flick. Very fidgety knife, nice for deployment. Now, what about the M4 steel on this one? I think even if you get the base model Sage 5, I think it comes with S30V, which again, Spyderco's S30V, a lot of people are going to turn their nose up to S30V, but Spyderco's heat treat on that S30V makes it perform extremely well. I'd rather have the S30V than the 154cm, than the Nitro V, than the 14C28N, because it's going to hold the edge longer and it's still going to have good ease of maintenance, which is one of the things that I love about their S30V. But either way, you're getting a nice thin slicey knife. Now this was used when I got it in. I recorded testing it when I first got it in on this table, and it was catching a little bit, so I stropped it up 5 times on either side, took it back to the paper. Outside of like a weird, when the paper was bending as I was cutting through it, it went through really smooth. It felt really good, like the other M4 steel blades. M4 is not corrosive resistant if you're looking at this particular variant. You just have to keep that in mind. Having said that, it has not shied me away from picking up other M4 steel variants from Blade HQ for their exclusives. I love their M4, works really nice, and I can say definitively I have had probably a lot of experience and exposure to M4 steel, as you can see with these models. I've had the diamond nitrate coated blades, I've had the satin blades, and then their regular coated blades. Granted, I do carry and use this, but this is one I'm trying to preserve. so I don't carry it and use it as much. But again, having said that, this satin one I grab all the time. I don't know, because it's going to reflect the light. It's going to be hard to get you to show like the marks where it's worn. And you know what, I bet you even then I bet you it just gleams off because it's satin. I was using it the other day. I couldn't tell you what it was I was opening. Oh, I got some lights that came from Amazon, the little ones that go in the garden that point at the house. It makes it look pretty at night. I got some of that, broke that box down. There was another box. You can see a little bit here, some marks, but not too much. But I grabbed this one a lot, and man, I love M4. That thing holds an edge forever. I've not had any issues with corrosion, and I rarely do, but you know, it can happen. So I just want to mention that. Let's talk about the ergos, because I kind of wanted to save that for last. This knife, even though it is small and it kind of has that para 3 more handle than blade ratio, is really nice for a lightweight summer carry. I mean, it leaves a ton of space back here when you're using that dedicated forward finger choil that has good jimping, so that you can, again, you can move back, which I love about the fact that it has that longer handle length, so you can do your detailed work. You can get out to the tip really easy with this one for any type of extremely detailed work. And then for the push cuts, it works really nice. And I just really love the ergos on this. I actually prefer it more because it is more thick and it has less bumps. Like, everything is watered down, and it's not quite as aggressive as it is on the para 3. Para 3 has more of that aggressive medium hump that pushes your hand out. My hand actually really falls nicely into the scallop, and then my smaller hands end up landing on top of the texturing here on this particular knife, so it feels really comfortable in hand. And it is put it in pocket and forget that it's there type knife, man. The build quality, the weight, the steel options that they make on these, you can probably throw a stone at any favorite retailer and you'll find a different variant of this knife. It is so good. I really like this, and I needed something else, because really my main dedicated lightweight carries are this, the Bug Out, and right now the Skyline. So whenever I have shorts on, going for a walk in the yard, walking, these are my lightweight flippers that I typically grab. I also have a couple of others, but I wanted to save those for alternative recommendations. The first alternative recommendation I'm going to make is going to be a Bug Out, right? Just a standard S30V, just like the standard S30V Sage 5. The standard Bug Out with the Grivery handles is a nice alternative recommendation if you want a USA made knife. That is going to be it. It's going to be around the same price for this knife as it is for that one, but this one is going to have better build quality, meaning that the Grivery, because it's not reinforced, feels real flexy in hand, and you're going to want to get a set of like G10 scales from Flightanium because they're overbuilt, and the G10 a little bit more rigid than the FRN or the Grivery or whatever it is that they're calling it. The alternative options that I can recommend at a little bit of a lower price point, you can pick up a VG10 variant of the Delica 4 for around 80 bucks, or you can get this KnifeJoy exclusive variant, 99 bucks, 20 CV, and really nice Grivery bi-directional handles. This is the one that I was telling you where it's bi-directional. You can see they are angled so that you have them kind of pointing in the opposite direction, so the push-pull, whatever it is that you're doing, gonna feel really good. And you still get one-handed operation. This feels a little bit lighter, I think. Let's actually grab that scale again. I think this was, what did I say? I don't even remember, 2 point something. Let's see what this comes in at. Yeah, so a little bit lighter. I think this is like just under 3 ounces, was it? No, 2.9. So it feels even lighter than that versus 2.3. So a little bit lighter because you don't have the steel liners and the compression lock. You just have the FRN. I don't think that cut off. No, it didn't cut off. Hold on. Okay. So you have, you know, those are some differences. There's a little bit of difference in girth and size overall than the Delica 4, but that's a good option. But if you want something a little bit bigger, that's still a good summer carry. If you wear your basketball shorts to work in the yard or to exercise or things of that nature, you know, the Indela is another great option that I really like, that I think people overlook. But if you want the compression lock and you want something fidgety, then take a look at the Native 5. That's probably going to be the next one that I get on my list for the lightweight carry with the compression lock, because I'd like to kind of compare to see which way that it goes. I actually do like the Sage 5 better than the Delica 4 right now because of the blade shape and the ergos, and the fact that that dedicated forward finger choil gets you right up behind the blade. So hopefully that makes sense. Not to say that I'm getting rid of my Delica 4. I really do like my Delica 4. And that Knife Joy exclusive with the blue and the 20 CV is a killer deal. It's a killer price for that type of steel and that build quality. But overall, do I recommend this knife? Absolutely. Even again, if you're getting the S30V variant, the base model variant of the Sage, then you're going to get this for under, I think, that $100 mark in that instance, or right around. With the compression lock, it's probably going to be a little over 100. I think all their lightweights, even if you're talking about the Para 3 or the Manix 2, I think they're just over $100, which still, made in the USA, compression lock, which is really strong, and you're getting that awesome Spyderco heat treat. Keep that in mind when you think about Spyderco's prices. Think about how much more work it is at a higher heat treat to grind those blades and give you that phenomenal edge that they come with. It's a lot more work before you bark at or sniff at a Spyderco's price point. You get a lot for your money. Having said that, I'm so happy I picked this knife up. I love the colorway. I think it's very cool. It's something that's a little bit of pop in my current catalog of knives, and I love that. And I love the lightweight. I love the wire pocket clip. All that comes together with fantastic ergos and a blade steel that I love very much. Definitely recommendable. If you enjoyed today's video, do me a favor. Leave me a like. Helps me with the YouTube algorithm if you want. Consider subscribing if you're liking the video. Don't forget to have that notification bell set to all so you don't miss alerts whenever future content drops. You can ignore it if it's a knife that you're not interested in, or if it's gear you're not interested in, but you don't want to miss anything that I might be talking about that you could be interested in or that you hadn't seen before. I appreciate all the support for those of you that are already subscribed. I hope all of you have a fantastic week. Until next time, peace.